This is actually a scarf I got at a thrift shop, but the fabric is really soft and I like the print on it. So I want to make it a shirt. Alright, the goal here is to start with kind of a basic tank shape, but I want kind of like a swoopy V-neck. And I want the shoulders further out. I don't want them really close together. So then there are the armholes. So I want the neck a little bit high still, but it's a V-neck. So there are those. I'm gonna use a really lightweight fabric that drapes really well. So I'm gonna make this a little bit boxy, because then I don't have to put any kind of opening or zipper in the back, but it's also not stretchy, so it needs to be big enough that I can put myself into it without getting stuck on my shoulders. So it's just gonna basically come straight down. Ugh, that side looks bad. Let's fix that. There you go. Okay, so a little bit of a curve to it, but you get the gist. For the neck, I actually want to add a ruffle to it, and I think I'm gonna go the whole way around if I have enough fabric. I want quite a bit of ruffle, but I want it to come out just enough that it covers up the shoulder part the whole way around, but not so big that it's kind of, I don't know, like a bib almost. To make this, we're gonna start with the bodice part. So to do the bodice, I have a basic bodice here. There's not even seam allowance in here yet. It's just a basic bodice. But the important thing is that the dart's at the bottom of the front and the back. You don't want to do a side dart one for this. Now, we're going to use this without actually making another pattern. If you'd like to do it on paper and make a pattern, you're more than welcome to, but I'm just going to use this. And so first I'm just going to lay out my fabric. So I'm going to fold it in half, I guess. And I guess I'll start with the front. So I'll do this. I do want to make sure I add the same amount onto the front and the back. So I'll probably add 5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I will put the tip of this right at the tip of that. I'm going to put some weight on there to hold it in place and to get it to stop moving around so much. For my neckline, I am going to come down to a V. So I'm actually just gonna like fold this up and out of my way. Ta-da! V shape. Perfect. I'm gonna adjust that so the weight holds that back for me. Okay. And actually, like we said, I want the V to come from over here. So let's adjust this a little bit. Yeah, you know what? I'm happy with that. Let's do that. Okay, we got a V. So the next thing I have to do is make sure that this is going to fit over my shoulders when I pull it on.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to put my arms up like this and kind of move them a little. I need you to measure around my shoulders. Do you know where my shoulders are? Yeah. So take this, come over here. Okay, I'm going to put my arms up like this, wrap it around my shoulders.
Like how?
The whole way around me. Where my, no, not around my shoulders, around me. Yeah. No, but that's my waist. I want it on my shoulders.
But how?
Put your arms where my shoulders are. Okay, you're too low. I need them up on my shoulders. There, right there. What number does it say?
35.
35? Okay. Thank you. My daughter said my measurement was 35 the whole way around. Half of that is 17 and a half. I'm just going to round up to 18 because there's no point in stretching my shirt trying to get it on and off. So 18 would be just my front side. This is half of my front side, so I only need half of that, which is 9 inches. So I just need to measure across and make sure this gets to 9 inches, which actually is not too far off from where it already is. That really only adds about a half an inch, and that should be able to get over my shoulders. I want this a little bit looser than that, So I'm gonna add, shoot, I don't want it too loose. Let's try 3/4 of an inch. I don't want to add so much that I have this huge gaping armhole. From that 3/4, I always sew a 1/2 inch seam. If you sew yours differently, mark it on a clear ruler, but mine has a 1/2 inch marked on it. So I'm going to line this up on that. Don't worry about all this additional down here. That just guarantees it's gonna fit over your bust and your shoulders. So I would just let this be a block. So I'm going to take my pattern fabric roll cutter, make sure this is lined up really, really well, and cut along the side of that. So now the only other places that I need to add that seam allowance is at this top shoulder, which again is 1/2 inch. So I'm going to do that. Lovely. The neckline I'm not super concerned about because if I lose a 1/2 inch there, like that's not a big deal to me. Because I honestly almost want that slimmer than that. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it as it is and get rid of another 1/2 inch when I sew it. So just like that. And I don't think I caught this on the bottom. There you go. Ooh, that was not good at all. That's much better. Okay. That was a mess. So now I just need to cut the bottom, which it's kind of fun with that little frill on the bottom. I might leave that. I just need to do the armhole now, which again also needs that seam allowance so I can sew it in there. So I'm just going to, from my roll cutter where the actual blade is to this outside circle is a 1/2 inch. It's a little bit less than that, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to visually keep that outside. So I'm holding where I can see this is to the edge of this. Okay. Alright. And we've got the front bodice. We're going to repeat that with the back. To start this one off, I want a clean edge on the bottom. So I'm going to line this up across that edge and wasting as little fabric as possible. I'm not cutting the whole way through because I want this extra strip on the side for the ruffler on the neck. But this is where the last cut is for the top or the front bodice. So I'm just going to cut right above that. This way I have a good measuring point for those 5 inches from the bottom so that my pattern lines up nicely still. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. I do have a dart up here for my shoulder that I need to get rid of. So while I'm cutting, I'm just going to gently pull this to where it touches this side, continue this line to that point, and do my armhole as usual. I still need that 9 inches across to fit over my shoulders. There's 9 inches. And that's a lot further out than the front was. So I'm going to add about a 1/2 inch. Okay, again, I'm adding an extra 1/2 inch to that for my seam allowance. And then I need to make sure these necklines match up really well. So I'm going to take the front pattern and I'm going to line these up. I'm going to push this shoulder into where it meets. I'm going to attach that shoulder to it, and then I'm going to make a cut there because this neck hole has to come all the way over here. Okay, good, I can see that. So I'm just going to turn this up to where that neck curve is and bring it down and meet that across. So now where this ends, I need that 1/2 inch seam allowance. Right there. So that's my shoulder and the neck. And then again, I don't want to add that extra space because I'm not going to sew that dart. So I'm just going to hold it in. And again, using the orange part of my rotary cutter as a guide, that's how I'm going to add that space there. Okay, we have the front and the back. So what I'm going to do now is sew these together at the shoulders and at the sides, right sides together. Now I've got everything attached at the sides and the top. The armholes, I'm gonna attempt to do a double roll on this. I'm gonna go ahead and do the armholes and then also hem the bottom of the shirt, and then all we'll have left is the neck. So to do this ruffle up here, I'm gonna take these excess ends that I cut off. If you don't have excess ends, that's okay, just use some more of the fabric. I'm going to put these all on top of each other, like so. And you know what, I should really iron this first. Let me do that. I'm going to cut this off at the end. I'm going to cut across the bottom. This is in 2 pieces. I am going to sew this together at this end, right sides together, and then I am going to sew across the top the whole way across at the longest stitch seam I can so that I can gather it. When I sewed my ends together, I decided to sew it at an angle. This is the bottom, this is the top. That way when I open it up, it points down into a triangle, since I did a V-neck on the shirt. I'm just gonna take the shirt and I'm gonna pin this around and then just make sure I'm happy with how all of it looks. Double check that the V-neck is low enough for me, that I'm happy with everything. This is it pinned. I do not like this. I think it looks like an upside down skirt hanging around my neck. I don't like it at all. So what I think I'm gonna do is literally just take the whole thing off and do a different neckline on it. I've been sitting here for probably 10 minutes trying to talk myself into liking the ruffles, because I don't like them, but that's how I designed it, and I feel like there's a way to make it work, and also I can't figure out why I don't like it. Like maybe the ruffles are too gathered, maybe they need to be longer, I don't know. And then all of a sudden I just decided, well, also because I was kind of thinking of getting rid of them, but I was trying to talk myself back into them, and finally just decided if I actually liked it, I wouldn't be sitting here for 10 minutes trying to talk myself into it. So obviously I don't like it, so I'm gonna change it. Here goes. I think I'm gonna do a circle neckline that can potentially go off the shoulders if I wanted to. To do that, I need to fold this in 4. I stood still and measured around my shoulders. I measured around my shoulders again, but with my arms down this time, because if I'm wearing it, obviously my arms will be down. And that gave me 40, which means if I do this as one piece, this will have to be roughly 10 inches around up here, because there's 4 sides to the circle. Also, just so, I don't know if I explained this, I just folded it in half twice. So this is a fold, that's a fold, this is all the folds. So you want to cut on this corner where all the folds meet up to make a circle. And if my measurement was 40, there's 4 layers here, so 40 divided by 4 is 10. The diameter of the circle needs to be about 10. Hope that makes sense. And that would leave me a lot of length. But what I'm debating is to get extra like roll ruffle fullness in it, I might make 4 smaller circles and connect them. This is when upcycling starts to scare me. I'm gonna make this literally as even as I possibly can. Underneath here, the fabric ends there. So that's where I need to have my cut. So now we gotta cut this into 4. Alright, which ones are my best pair of scissors? Let's try you. Oh, you're good. Now I need 4 even circles. I'm going to cut each one separately. It's going to end up way more accurate than if I tried to do them all at different times. I'm just going to eyeball it with this. I hope I did that math right. Oh no. I'm going to do 2.5 just in case. Okay, I'm literally just taking the tape measure and making it into a circle like I did on the shorts. Now I need to make the part that hangs down, which I've decided I'm going to do 5 inches because I'm going to lose some in the seam and the hem, and I want it to be kind of long. I think that's also part of the issue with my ruffle was that it was too short, and so it looked kind of silly. Okay, so I'm just keeping my tape measure at 5, and then kind of I am rolling up just because there's so many layers here. I don't want to push it towards me. Pushing away kind of helps keep it all together. Then I'm going to have to attach all these, which means I need to open them up. Oh my goodness, I hope this turns out. Since I already have a fold line on them, I'm just going to cut on one of the fold lines. Those will get sewn together, right sides together. Okay, here's my shirt with this neckline. Here's this like circle thing. I'm just gonna pin it on first to see what it looks like. Yeah, actually, I go like that. That's a lot better. I think the length of the ruffle is better, but also I like that it's the circle edge instead of gathered. I think it just like fits better. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to attach the neckline to the shirt because it is kind of confusing. So right now my shirt's right side out, and you can't just put right sides together because then when you flip the neckline over it'll end up on the inside. So start with your shirt inside out. This is the wrong side and I need the right side facing this. I'm going to start actually from the back because that's how I lined up my seams when I fixed my circle. I haven't actually done the first one yet. Okay, this is the wrong side of the shirt and I'm touching the right side of the neckline to it because it's going to flip all the way over to the right side of the shirt. I need to sew down that V. So I'll do that really fast. I serged that on. Just one thing I will tell you, serge stitches have a little bit of stretch to them. That's why people use them on knit fabrics. So if you want to make sure your neckline's not going to stretch over time, just go over it with your regular sewing machine once and lock all that in. But otherwise, you can turn the whole shirt to the right side. And this neckline is just going to fold over it. Iron that down really good and then do a rolled hem on the bottom of the ruffle to tuck it up, and you're good. It's done.